Hi, today I'm going to talk about my trading plan, but first of all, do you have one for yourself? If not, let's find out more about what a trading plan should have in it right now. Hi, it's Andrew Mitchem here, the Forex Trading Coach. Today is Friday the 4th of October 2013. And that's right, I want to talk about having a trading plan. I want to explain my trading plan, which I have right here. And it's something I talked about on my live webinar with my clients last night. And I also want to ask you, do you have a trading plan for yourself? Because if you don't, it's something that I strongly advise that you should have. And if you'd like a copy of what I have here, just a blank copy so you can fill in your own version, then please email me, Andrew at theforextradingcoach.com. So let's get into it. Well, this is my trading plan, and as I mentioned, I talked about this on my webinar yesterday, and really I've split it up into different areas, and I'm going to look down at my notes here and talk about what's on my plan. Now, I've split it up to start with into the actual trading side of things, what I'm going to be looking at in terms of what currency pairs am I going to trade. And personally for me, I'm going to trade all 26 currency pairs that my broker offers, plus gold and silver, because I'm not worried about what the currency pair is that I'm trading. Because I live in New Zealand, I don't just trade New Zealand dollars or the New Zealand dollar US or New Zealand dollar yen. It doesn't matter. I'll trade any one of the 26 currency pairs that my broker offers. It all depends on what the setup is, and long as the setup's good enough for validating what I see as a good trade. But that's what suits me. You may say, well, I'm only wanting to trade the major pairs, or I'm only wanting to trade the Australian dollar pairs or the yen pairs, whatever it might be. But for me, all 26 pairs. Days of the week that I'm looking at trading, well, again, for me as a full-time trader, I'll look Monday through to Friday. It doesn't matter to me what the day of the week, although when I'm trading the shorter time frames, as I mentioned earlier, as I mentioned further down into this, I am not trading on a Monday until the European session, and I don't trade after the midway through the European session on a Friday, and Tuesday, Wednesdays and Thursdays when I prefer to look at the 1 hour charts. The rest of the days I'll look at the 4 hourly charts and the daily charts. But again, I've split it up into when I will trade, when I won't trade. Times of the day and times of the year that I don't like to trade. For instance, leading up to major public holidays like Easter and Christmas, New Year's, etc. Just before non-farm payrolls, I won't trade that. Again, on here, when I won't trade, the setups that I'm looking at taking, what exactly is it that I'm looking at? Does that change for different time frames or different pairs? Write it down so you can go and say, well, does this setup that's right in front of me now on the chart here, does that meet the criteria of my trading plan? Then I've mentioned entries and exits. So on different time frames, I have different entry criteria. On some time frames, such as the daily charts, I split my position. I take some at the market and another part of my position at the retracement. So I split that order. I do the same on 4 hour charts, but on the 1 hour charts, I enter just at the market only. But I've got that written down, step-by-step detail here. My stop losses, where I'm going to place my stops and why. Are you going to trail stops? Are you going to close positions out when a certain profit target is reached? If the trade goes against you by a certain amount, will you look at closing some or all of the trade? Those type of things, have them written down, have a plan. Again, profit targets, I mentioned them here, and again, I've split them up personally for the 3 different time frames that I prefer to trade, which are daily charts, 4 hourly charts, and 1 hour charts. My trade management, my ongoing trade management, what will I do with the trade when it's open? If I see a reversal candle, will I look at closing the trade? How much? All of the trade? Part of the trade? What is it that's going to make me intervene with that trade? Then I'm talking about the risk on the next page. My maximum risk per trade, how much is that? For me, it's half of 1%. Sometimes I trade 1/4 of 1%. How much I want to have risked at the market at one time. So in other words, if all these trades behind me here, if they all went wrong, what's my maximum exposure into the market? And again, for me, my personal threshold is 5%. So if all these trades behind me here on this one account go wrong, which is highly unlikely, especially considering that I'm in good money at the moment, but if they did go wrong, I know that I have less than a 5% loss on my total account. Now, with these trades here, I'm up about 3% when I looked just before I made the video. But if they all went wrong, I know my total risk. How many trades will I lose in a row before I maybe take a break or stop trading for the day, if that's what suits you? And then at the end, goals. How many trades am I looking at taking per day or per week? What happens if I reach my weekly amount of either pips or percent, because I don't talk in pips myself, but if I'm looking at maybe making, let's say, 2% per week on average, what happens if I've made that 2% by Tuesday? Do I stop trading? Do I continue trading? Whatever it is, write it down, because then you've got rules in front of you to stick by. And right at the end, trade reporting. How do I record my trades? Do I take screenshots? Do I use something like MyFX? What is it that I use to report my trades? And then on the very last section here, I've put about like a contingency. What happens when things go wrong? My MT4 details, my login numbers, my server numbers, my broker's details, email address, phone numbers. What would happen if my computer went wrong? Who do I take it to fix? What happens if the internet goes down? Do I have a backup to the internet? Do I have a remote server, virtual server? Whatever it is, make sure you have all of that written down, so when you need that in an emergency, you have it all here. So I hope that helps you. As I mentioned, I did talk about that with my clients last night, and we went through that whole session. My screens have just stopped behind me here, I see, so let me put those back on there. And so it was something that they found really useful, and if you would like a copy, please do email me. Talking about the webinar, let me put that down. Talk about the webinar. Well, we had a bit of time with a new client who's only been trading with me for just under 2 weeks, called Edward. And Edward now, up until when I started this video, has had 7 out of 7 profitable trades. On the webinar yesterday, he took 1, and prior to that, he had 6 out of 6. He took 1 yesterday, which also made profit. So 7 out of 7. He's up almost 6% on his first 7 trades, and he's just emailed me, and I've got a US Swiss franc trade on right behind me here over my shoulder that's up around 1.4 to 1 risk to reward at the moment, and I think he's got a profit target of a risk to reward of 1.8, so it's almost there. If you can see the trade here, it's almost into full profit. So if that US franc continues to fall, that's 8 out of 8 trades for Edward on the 1 hour charts, taking trades independent by himself after only studying my course for 2 weeks. So it just shows what can be achieved when people stick to the rules and take trades according to the rules, because that's part of trading, hence have the trading plan. The last thing I want to talk about, today should be non-farm payroll day. But with all the government issues in the US and the shutting down of the government sections and departments, there's no non-farm payrolls today. So expecting the non-farm payrolls to be next week. I believe Thursday is the latest I heard. But of course, the way things are going over there, that could well change again. So keep an eye out for the news, because things like non-farm payrolls, you do need to be aware of them, of that news announcement, those high impact news announcements, even though, like myself, I'm a technical trader, and they do change from time to time. I don't think I can honestly remember a time in almost 10 years of trading that the non-farm payrolls have been moved. I can't, off the top of my head, think of that happening before. It may have, but maybe once in the 10 years I've been trading Forex live. But non-farm payrolls are not on the usual day, which is the first Friday of the month. So keep an eye out for things like that, because things do happen, and news announcements do change. So that's it for now. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. Look forward to talking to you this time next week. Let's hope this US franc continues to fall here. That's on that account, and the other trades, they're ticking along really well as well. So hoping to end the week in a really good, profitable situation. Makes the weekend even better. Talk to you next week. Bye for now.